Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
That's what we were supposed to do at halftime. You know, last game we were supposed to win by that much. What I was pleased at, I went after them at halftime. I freaking lost it in the locker room. I was pissed that that we let them drive the ball down right before the half and almost make a field goal. Like, where's the killer instinct, right? That's my that's why I bring up the thing about Archie. Like, I don't want to be a joke. I don't want us to be I want us to be a football place, right? Football teams, you put away the people you're supposed to put away. You don't let them have life. So I wasn't happy before the half, right? And then, when we went to take a knee and they cut us, which I have no issue with what they did. That's something you do at the end of games. They just, their kids are trained to do that. I went after our O-line. Like, they don't fear you. Like, teams are supposed to come in and they're supposed to say, like, I never want to. They're supposed to walk up to their AD and be like, don't schedule them again. That's the mentality we're supposed to have. And that's where I went off in the locker room, the coaches and players. And it's not that I have it and they don't. I just want to make sure that's my job, right? It's not Matt Rule. It's the head coach of Nebraska. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to when you play these teams, they want to come here, they want to play here. They're supposed to never want to play here again.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker fan sports show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. I'm your host, Honky, and I'm with Redcast Rob.
Well, after another week of poor AP poll voting, I've decided that I am now going to start creating my own poll and submitting it because it's about about as relevant as any other poll that seems to be going out there for the first 4 weeks of the season.
That seems fair. With Redcast Abby.
Yes, I'll be contributing to Rob's post, but please don't ask me about my process or logic. I don't really want to go into it. I'm just here for vibes, babe.
That's, yeah. And I'm with Redcast Boomer.
Well, it is Houston Christian week, so we should all be excited for that. Although I am disappointed that it is a home game. I had some items return to CVS, and there's one conveniently located right next to the Houston Christian Stadium. It's the entire visitors side, so you get a great view of the field from their pharmacy drive-through. So it's a shame it's a home game. Darn it.
Yeah, Google Earth that, Redcasters. He's absolutely right. There's a CVS right outside of it. It is Houston Christian week. We are 2-0 going into Houston Christian week. We are 6-0 in volleyball right now. We are, in fact, just undefeated across the board. And in fact, we might have a tweet showing that when we get to tweets of the week. But before we do get into tweets of the week, let's go around the room a little bit. And Redcast Rob, how'd your last week go?
My last week has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, the only loss so far for me this season, well, there's two. My daughter's soccer team is defeated, I guess you could say, not undefeated. We lost 2-0 the first game. We lost 3-2 last week in a heartbreaker where we had a goal called back because apparently the girl throwing the ball in lifted her foot. Yeah, soccer's stupid. I get it. And, I got to watch the game with some fellow Husker fans. And
yeah, you had a watch party in Greeley. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I tried. It was kind of last minute. We had about, 12, 15 people there. So it wasn't terrible. It was nice. As Aloe is now one of the official sponsors for Husker football, if you've seen a lot of the posts, like during the entire Will Compton speech, the Aloe green was lit up around the entire screen the whole time that he was up there. So, it was kind of cool because my entire life seems to revolve around Huskers now.
Well, that's
good.
Good.
The circle is complete.
Well, let's go around the circle here. And Redcast Boomer, how'd your last week go?
It's been good. Yeah, can't say it was overly eventful. Just got to enjoy the Husker game at home. And, that was the kind of stomping I think you could almost have expected to happen, as bad as Akron was. It was nice to see that. I'm sure we'll break that down a little more. And, otherwise it's been very pleasant. So
yeah. Well, we've played a lot of bad teams over the years and haven't always stomped them. So it's a good sign. And Redcast Abby, how about you?
It's been good. I am very sad to say that my personal sports lives, I've been less than undefeated. But I did almost hit somebody in the face with a softball. And frankly, it felt really good it's been good. Like, it's really nice to to get to be out in weather that's not 90 something degrees, and then come home and get to watch sports without stress. Which, what is that? Like, what? I don't know what that means. So yeah, so it's been fun.
Well, that's excellent. I think that your weeks have been so good. Let's get into the tweets of the week then. And the very first one here, we're going to start. I'm going to go with you, Abby, on this one. And it was from Troy Dannon. And this references what we just talked about earlier. It's been a good year so far. In fact, a great year for Husker Nation so far to date. And the unbeaten update is it was a good week as we moved into the second week of September. Husker soccer is 5-0-2. Husker volleyball is 6-0. And Husker football is 2-0. Go Big Red.
Yeah, it's nice to see the men finally pulling their weight. I'm kidding. I kid. I mean, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. Come on, we're all thinking it. It's been our lives for a while, right? It's like we've been so bolstered by our women's sports, which is great. We know there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really nice to see, our men's sports also start to step up, and to see soccer bounce back. Had kind of a less than ideal year last year. So to see them bounce back, be 5-0, beat Kansas State, which is a very good soccer team. So beat them on Sunday. We've got a Big Ten play starts, and I don't know if soccer doesn't do rankings or if it's just not on the schedule yet, but yeah, we'll see. We have Minnesota on Thursday night. So if you're in Lincoln, I think it's probably free or very cheap to go. But if you're not doing anything Thursday night, go watch them. Go shout them out and see if they can keep going. Volleyball, we've got a bit of we've got a ranked opponent coming up Friday, I think, with Utah. And we've got, oh boy, who do we have after that? Let me pull that up. Yeah, Grand Canyon. And then Creighton is next Tuesday. Oh boy. So we'll have, fresh off the Creighton game news next week in the podcast. So we've got some challenges coming up, and then we basically start conference play for volleyball. So it's been great. It's been fun. Again, like it's nice not being stressed out during these things.
Yeah. Well, and we've had some success in these sports. Soccer a couple years ago was a Final Eight team. And then, of course, we know what volleyball's done. So, between those two and football coming off of bowl season, it's not a bad time to be in Husker Nation. So, put on those smiles, Redcasters. Next up, we have from Mr. Nebraska Ball. Football sells beer for the first time and wins 68-0. Rob, any correlation between the two, do you think?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if there's one thing that Nebraska knows, it's beer. It's like the two go together, like, salt and pepper, and I don't know, birds of a feather. I don't know what am I supposed to say there? Obviously there's a correlation there. You sell beer at the stadium, you make the lines a lot longer. It takes people longer to get drunk. And then, they're more sober to cheer on the team by the fourth quarter. Go Big Red.
I must have had a really good experience because I've read a whole bunch online about how awful it was. The lines were terrible. It wasn't that bad where I was at. I was on the East Stadium before the game, and it was a long line, but it went really fast. And then I was in the line where you paid, you did your own checkout.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I just put like 5 things I was getting stuff for my wife and it wasn't all for me, but put like 5 things down on it. And it took a photo from on top, and within 2 seconds, I got billed the right amount and I paid and moved on. So I went back at halftime, and they looked like they had run out of a few things. It's the first game. I mean, I'm more than willing to be patient for just like the football team gets better from week 1 to week 2. I'm imagining that the concessions and everything is going to do the same. So I would give a little bit of grace. But I'm not expecting that from social media either.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Honky, is that, now that people don't have an opportunity to complain about the football team, or nitpick it, we shut a team out for the first time since 2009. There's some people in this world that are just so miserable that they always have to find something negative to talk about, no matter what the situation is. I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't complain that Matt Rule's clothes look too baggy on him now because he's lost so much weight, or, there's always something for people to nitpick, and those people will always be, willing to do it.
Well, welcome to Husker Nation. We've got to have something to complain about. Let's not even talk about alt uniforms, and we can get into all kinds of hot topic.
No, those same people will consistently make comments about alt uniforms as well. So
sure.
Also, I just want to real quick point out that somebody asked Danny about alt uniforms for volleyball. So it's possible we'll get some changes there. I'm going to say, I mean, if I know we love our alts, we might get them for volleyball. I read that. I think Lincoln tweeted that out. But
I'm a little, I guess, in essence, I'm a little surprised that we haven't had that because volleyball already wears more color combinations. It's not uncommon for them to wear black.
We've had some alts. Like, remember we had the ones where it was like the state of Nebraska was outlined. That was cool. So I wonder if we'll get something like that. It was something about like changing the script a little bit or something. So we might. I don't know if it'll be this season or not, but be on the lookout for those if we like alts.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The next one up here is from Michael Severe. And Boomer, you're our special teams coordinator on the Redcast. I figured you'd appreciate this. He tweets that the Huskers' Corey Barney has the 10th most punt return yards in FBS, the 3rd most in Big Ten. Barney is one of 4 in the top 11 that doesn't yet have a return touchdown. I mean, this has to bring a smile to your face.
Yeah, it is. It is nice to see this. I haven't had to use my X-Tanks Post-it note yet, like he promised that we could use. So far, it's just sitting here unattended, so it's been great. Yeah, the punt return yardage is amazing. I mean, if you just compare it to last season, just the difference an actual attentive special teams coach can make. Barney had 89 yards of punt returns in this game, and in the entire 2024, Nebraska managed 73 punt return yards. So in one game, we have already outdone that. I mean, that's just insane when you sit back and look at it. And then I like the response Cody says to Michael Severe's tweet there. Yeah, he's probably had a shot at a couple of touchdowns there. He just needs to hit a lane a little differently. He could have probably scored at least one, in that game, if not another. So far it's been improvement. There's always things that can be better, but man, can't really complain about special teams so far this year, and that's refreshing. So it's
even to Cody's response there. And he's probably not wrong. There's also, this even goes back a little bit of that grace that I'm willing to give people in their first couple of games here. Barney didn't return punts last year. This is everybody they're growing from week to week. This is better this week than it was in week 1 against Cincinnati for sure. I mean, there were wide open lanes when he was catching it. That's a good start right there.
Yes.
But we're also getting close to the punter too. I mean, they're having to keep guys back and block a little bit more because it's not long, and we're going to have a punt block, I think.
I'd expect one this week. Yeah,
Absolutely.
We're going to have a punt return soon, too.
Well,
we're going to have one for a touchdown here in the next couple of games.
That all works together, man. The longer they have to sit back and block, the better opportunity we're going to have to block for a return. Boomer, I know I've seen a bunch of comments coming in already. That's awesome. Redcasters, we want to see that interaction with you. So please post your comments and interact with us while we're live here. This is part of the fun of doing it here. The next tweet up here is from Pavelka's fat uncle. God, I love some of these Twitter.
He's so great.
These Twitter names. Abby, I'll direct this one to you. The Huskers now are projected to finish 9-3 via FPI projection. So that took all of 2 weeks to change. So again, prognostications, I don't know why they're important preseason. But anyways, we're now ready to finish 9-3. It gives them a 3.5% chance to win the Big Ten, 27.4% chance to make the playoff, a 3.1% chance to make the national championship, and we have a 1% chance to win the national championship. Put your money down now, Redcasters.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. Yeah, Abby, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think that seems good. No, I talked to him a little bit about this tweet just to be like what it means, how he, kind of like what he interprets from it and what to take from it. And I think the big one is that, I mean, look, that expanded playoff annoys me, but hey, 27% chance to make the playoff. I think that's amazing. I think that's what we that's the part I'm looking at where I'm just like, wow. I don't think even when we got that schedule and the season, right before the season started, I'll be honest, I was like, I don't know, maybe we'll be one of those last teams where we're like, oh, maybe we'd won one more game or something like that. But looking at this, and that gives me a lot of hope. I think it also gives a lot of credit to that first game. So beating Cincinnati, I think actually helped us a lot more than maybe some of our other non-cons will. Just the sense that we finally beat a P4 team. But then kind of like how we looked against Akron, being in control in every single aspect the entire game. There was never a point where we thought anything was going to slip away. Never. There was never a time where you're like, well, maybe they'll do something and sneak up on us. There was never that. So I think that has helped us a lot, and has I think that's helped our, like, kind of what we look like, the perception, and even this FPI, which is just a projection. It's just a power index. It's not a rating. And it takes me a while. I always have to think about this. This is the idea of like who would beat who on a neutral field, I think is kind of the basis of it. I don't know. Josh Pate has to explain it every single week, which means nobody understands power rankings. But I think that's essentially what it is. And so that's great. I mean, that's still our 3 trickiest games, according to them, are going to be Michigan, Penn State, USC. But we've increased our projected likelihood of beating any one of those, of beating one of those 3 teams, like from about 69% to about 76%. We jumped that much just from these first 2 games. Now, granted, we'll see if we can control again against Houston Christian. If we can come out big against Michigan, my guess is that would only go up from there. So to me, that's the exciting part. It's just showing that, like, these aren't fluke wins. These seem to be controlled wins, and that there's some numerical belief in us. Not just us drinking the Kool-Aid.
Isn't it funny that, there was so much talk about how bad Akron is? How much can you really take from Akron? And that Cincinnati win, that 3-point, we didn't even cover the spread.
Yeah.
Sheesh. I mean, we haven't even gotten into playing the good team. We're not out of non-conference. We've won 2 games, and we've already made these jumps. I'm not saying I agree with them or disagree with them. I'm just saying those 2 games have already meant something to all the people that are way smarter than me, the analytic folks. They're jumping on board, and switching sides, so to speak, a little bit, just based off of those 2 games alone. Imagine what happens with another blowout and a win over Michigan.
And what's cool is this is basically saying that we should, that I know we say this a lot, but I feel like there now is the credit to it about, like, just winning the games that we should win.
Yeah.
There's 9 of them on our schedule. There's 9 games that we are, better than chance likely to win, based on our schedule and based on how we've played. And so I think that should give some confidence to us going in. Now, I am still a little bit in the Akron's not very good. Let's see how Cincinnati continues to do. Let's see how we do against Houston Christian. Let's see how we do against Michigan. But it is nice to see that there is some backing to this idea that, like, it's, like I said, again, it's not just Kool-Aid drinking here that has people excited.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we are excited over here. And I can name a fan base right now that's not as much. And that's the next tweet from College Football Report, and says Iowa fans are already done with Gronowski at QB. And this poor guy, he throws the Gronowski brand new jersey too. I mean, throws it right into a fire pit, and there he is. He's putting some lighter fluid on it. Boomer, now is this good form, putting the lighter fluid on? I mean, is this, give me some danger here, right?
Well,
I mean,
I'm
you're in
a
the
natural
insurance world
guy myself, but yeah,
okay.
that was quite a bit of a lighter fluid there. I don't think it was entirely necessary, but it is a well-contained structure, so there is that. And yeah, you shouldn't spray more on after you start the fire. That's a problem right there. But and let's hope he has a fire extinguisher just off screen. So any responsible tweeter does, of course. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect example of this is going to become a meme, right, or a GIF or something. I mean, there's literally this is a flaming garbage can of a season already, and that's too bad for them. I mean, I think Iowa's going to get turned around. I really do. They do every year, and they've got defense and special teams still that are going to do well for them. But man, the QB play through 2 weeks, again, this goes back to what we were just talking about on the Husker side. Through 2 weeks, it's been really, really, really poor, like bad. Abby,
and I want to real quick defend this kid. Like, he is not a bad quarterback. He makes some boneheaded choices. Look, he makes some. I watched that game, there were some choices made. There were some bad throws made. But, I mean, this kid won national championships. He is a good quarterback. We do have to place some blame there. His receivers are terrible.
Yep.
His tight ends were terrible. At what point do we recognize that Iowa has ruined every quarterback that has come through there for what, like the last 4 or 5 years? Like, and this isn't like, I'm not trying to like dunk on Iowa. I just like want to give that kid a little bit of grace of like, there's something in common here between all of these quarterbacks that they've had that were so bad, and they used to have good ones, and something happened. And I think that's something that the Iowa coaching staff and the Iowa program, I don't want them to be good, but they need to look at, because they seem gravitating towards mediocrity, to use the phrase that they love. But I'm just saying, like, something is happening at Iowa that is not entirely this quarterback's fault. And I don't know if you guys see as many as I do, but there's a lot of fans who it sound like are starting to be like, yeah, something needs to change.
Yeah, I watched half of that Iowa, or most of that Iowa State game, and they did some stuff offensively. I thought that was really clever. They were doing the slow mesh run play that they were doing that was being effective kind of in the middle of the part of the game. I know they've had a tight end, Addison or Stringa, that was injured for the season, had a Achilles tendon injury. I think that was it was against Iowa State. The injury happened. So, I mean, that doesn't help them, but their receiving core by itself it's in some trouble.
And I think the real problem with Iowa this year is they basically have 2 games to figure this out. They've got UMass, and then they're at Rutgers. And after that, their schedule is Indiana, Wisconsin, Penn State, Minnesota, Oregon, USC, Michigan State, and Nebraska. I mean, that's not a easy, kind of ramp into the rest of the season. So they've got to figure stuff out pretty quick, or I think it could be a long season in Iowa. So.
They need to. I saw somebody joke that they just need to adopt the triple option, but they kind of need to go like a couple years ago, Nebraska, and Gronowski can run. Let him use his legs. I don't know. Be a ground and pound team. I don't know why they're trying to force themselves into like a throwing team when they've got some good running backs. He is a good runner. He's a tricky runner. I think on the text we kind of tweeted or texted about that. Like, this guy could burn us easily because the kid from Cincinnati did, and he's a good runner.
Sure.
So like, I'm with you. Like, take these next couple of games. Be that, have be your identity. See if that works, because it's just throwing the ball is not it for Iowa consistently.
That's not going to be their strength this year. Rob, the next one here, this is from Big Ten Information and News. It says rank USC and Nebraska. It's very obvious these 2 teams are top 25 teams now.
I'm okay with them not being ranked right now. What happens every time we get ranked right now this early in the season? We do something stupid like lose a game. You know what? Let's go out. Let's take care of business this week. We have Michigan coming in, and we have a real chance to prove that we belong in the top 25. We beat Michigan. We can have this conversation again in 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, whenever that is. USC, whatever. I mean, they've got their own Twitter fan base that thinks they should have been ranked every week for the last 20 years. So, they can worry about themselves. But Nebraska, let's just go out there and take care of business. The numbers will take care of itself. I mean, we're number 12 or something like that in the ESPN FPI. There's a bunch of other rankings out there. The Massey rankings or something, I think is what it's called, have us at like 24. There was another ranking that I saw that, whatever their numbers are, had us at 15. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there, a lot of different opinions and, mathematical equations that can, put your team wherever it is you think it's favorable. I think the AP needs to be taken completely out of the equation when factoring in like a national championship. And I'm starting to wonder if the coaches too, I don't even want to say that, but it's just take care of business. It'll work itself out.
Yeah, and then when it comes to USC, they look good in their 2 games, but they played Missouri State and Georgia Southern. So for what it's worth,
hey,
they haven't been tested at all yet. I think they.
Yeah, what kind of team would lose to Georgia Southern?
Exactly. So yeah, and they have Purdue coming up, so that'll be their first actual test, we'll call it. So it's early yet. So
You can
no
laugh
offense to
all
any
you
of our
want,
Purdue fans that are listening.
Rob. You can
Purdue's
laugh all you
2-0,
want.
so hey.
Purdue has one of their old has one of their old coordinators on staff, and typically it's not a bad thing that coordinator is going to kind of have an idea of what USC is doing coming in. Now, I don't think USC is going to lose to Purdue, but I don't think this isn't Ryan Walters Purdue. Sorry, that's my one defense of Purdue is this is not Ryan Walters Purdue.
Okay.
You only get one defense though of Purdue per show, so that's it.
That's the one
Okay.
per show. Yeah.
Jeez, you love Purdue so much, Abby. Why don't you marry him?
Oh,
I do really like Purdue Pete, if I'm being honest. He is so wonderfully creepy. Anyway, sorry. I did warn those one USC fan where he was like, "Oh, can I make fun of Purdue?" And I was like, "At your risk." I don't think you know enough about the spoiler makers, but
the final tweet before we get into our topic of the show. This one's from Coach Booth. It says, "I don't know what Izzy Stark is going through, but let's be clear: college athletes are still young adults with much growth ahead. Criticism and attacks, intentional or not, leave scars. If you won't put your name on a post, it likely doesn't belong online. Hashtag be kind." Abby, this is something we've talked about in a number of different forums, not just in this sense, but people say whatever they want online to whoever they want, and then they don't put their names behind it, and that's unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate reality of what social media has become.
yeah. So for anybody who missed it, which I don't know how you have, but if you've missed it, Izzy Stark, the National Freshman of the Year last year, national championship setter last year for Penn State, has decided to step away from the team to kind of help deal with some mental health issues that are coming up, just to take care of herself. And it has been, whether it was issues kind of beforehand and then things that people have said afterwards, have just been kind of a constant reminder that as much as we say, like, well, just don't pay attention to the mean things people say, like, that these are kids still, even, yes, they're getting paid. Yes, they make a lot of money, but they are still basically kids. Their little brains aren't fully developed yet. They're 20, she's I think 18 or 19 or 20 years old. So it's a really serious thing. We lose female athletes at a exceptionally high rate, especially compared to our male athletes, for mental health problems and mental health concerns. And it's, it still has a lot of stigma to it. It's getting better. But it just, think about what Harper went through. That was kind of my mindset, is like, we didn't have any idea what Harper was going through, and probably had that happened earlier in the season or at the beginning of the season, like it did for Izzy, it's very likely she would have stepped away. And watching the documentary, we kind of knew what that low was for her. We don't know what that is for Izzy, and there's no reason to kind of speculate on it or spread rumors or anything like that, because, again, thinking when Harper's story came out, it was like, oh, that's what was happening, right? There was like, you got that. And so we don't know what's going on, but it's a thing that happens to female athletes. A lot happens to our male athletes. Danny talked about that as well in her presser, about, these kids are just constantly bombarded with information, some good, a lot of bad, and often by people who don't put their names, don't put their pictures, don't put anything about themselves. They hide behind things because, I don't know, maybe it makes them feel better to pick on kids. I don't understand the mindset. I don't get it. I've never fully understood it. If you're going to say it with your chest and say it with your face. But the reality is like, if you would not say it to their face, it has no business being said online. And it just is, we're hoping that Izzy's okay, but know that, like, sometimes these things spin really fast for these young people. And so, Rob and I kind of talked about it on Saturday. Like, right now, there's not a lot to criticize about, like, Nebraska athletes, but we've seen it in the past. We, as I say, don't bully. We kind of like successfully almost bullied one troll off of Twitter, and then he kind of appeared and tried to forget it all happened. But like, I think we do a good job of, like, big things like that, but we as fans, part of this is policing ourselves and calling that behavior out, because that, whether Izzy needs to read it or not, other people read it. Other people see all of these things, not just the athletes that it's being directed towards. And so I'm just talking in circles now of just this main thing of just be very kind and just think about whatever works. If you put it in your mind that somebody's saying it to your mom, that somebody's saying it to your sister, that somebody's saying it to you, and you can sit here and say, oh, it wouldn't affect me. But think about how it would have affected you when you were 18 or 19 and your whole life is on that pedestal and everybody like jumps in on it. So empathy, kindness, all of that goes a long way. And I'm with Coach Booth. If you're not going to put your face and your name on it, don't say it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we've had message board geniuses on our show before, and they highlight the idiocy of the message boards and the nameless trolls out there that say whatever they want to say about someone. On the Redcast 4, 5, 6 years ago, producer Skip created SOOT, SOOT, stay off of Twitter, a nice little PSA about if you feel like the need to get on Twitter and at somebody and tell them how terrible they are and how bad of a player they are, that maybe it's just time to, you know, stay off of Twitter for the day. And I think that's just a good reminder for anybody in those cases, because to your point too, Abby, it really doesn't matter that they're making money. A pro athlete, I don't understand why it's okay to do it to a pro athlete. You know, it's not. And the fact that these athletes in college are making money now, but to your point, that doesn't change their mind, their brains anymore. They're 18 or 19 or 20. And that same attack happening to them, that you can do real damage to people that way. And I would prefer, I wish that it didn't have to come to this. I wish from a support service and everything, I wish that athletes, because I think the best place really is for them still to be out there with their teammates on the court, doing the things that they do best, you know, in addition to obviously going to school. But I wish that it didn't have to come to this for some athletes, but it absolutely does not make the behavior that's causing it. It does not give any credit or anything to it. I mean, it's wrong there. And when people are going and attacking athletes after that, I mean, I've got no patience for that at all.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking, and you don't always know. And the part of this that I really like is criticism and attacks, intentional or not. Your intent doesn't matter sometimes. Like I hate to say that because I know like we all get caught up in that. We're like, well, we didn't mean to make it sound. It doesn't always matter. Those things still hurt people, and they still really impact with them and stick with them in ways that we may not see. So I think just know, you know, that's, I don't know, just, it's just so like, it's just so sad that this kind of continues to happen and that we are seeing this at the level of an Izzy Stark who, you know, we just saw her at media days and she seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. And that's what Dustin and I talked about is like, no, we interviewed her. You would never have thought that maybe something was going on with her, and who knows how long this has been going on. But and I also want to say it's very brave and it's very strong of these athletes to step away from this thing that they've known and has been their identity their whole lives. So just, you know, on the one hand, we're gonna send all of our best thoughts to Izzy and hope that she you know, grow stronger from this and is able to come back if she wants to come back. And then also just remind people that to be kind and to be empathetic and sympathetic to these kids.
Yep. Amen. Well,
that was a downer.
From there, on lighter note,
Sorry about that.
we get out of we move.
I'm gonna have to take a break from this show now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
As we move away from tweets of the week, we're going to highlight this one tweet, and it will lead us into our conversation. Boomer, I'll go with you on this. This is from On3. It said, Nick Saban claims the NIL has given Big Ten an advantage over the SEC. And this is a quote from him. I mean, kids grew up wanting to go to LSU, Alabama, and Georgia, got the money now. They don't mind going to Ohio State. They don't mind going to other places. So that geographic advantage at the Southeast Conference may be changing a little bit now with the different culture, with NIL and the money involved in decision-making. I think that's created a bit of an edge for the Big Ten. That's via the Pat McAfee show. So, Boomer here, I'm going to take that out of there. But, you know, thank God the those poor saps over there at Ohio State finally have some advantage, or finally the Michigans and the Penn States and the USCs and anyone not in the Southeast Conference. Finally, there's a reason to go to those schools is kind of what I take away from that. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, that they can finally compete at an even playing field with, the high quality education and things you get at a, Mississippi State or whatnot. But anyway, I kid on that front. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to take what he said. You see a lot of people, kind of joking about it, that might be why Saban retired when he did, is, he had that automatic advantage of, McDonald's bags full of cash suddenly not meaning as much in the Southeast Conference when everyone else can do it above the table. And that's a standard joke that's out there. And there might be some truth to that. But I think that, the bigger part of it is, if we're going to look at the NIL aspect of it, yeah, I mean, the Big Ten does have some advantages there, I think, with what a lot of programs do, just the size of some of these Big Ten universities and the amount of money that they have, their alumni base, and some of the people that you have. Oregon, you got Phil Knight, Nike money backing that. I see Alabama fans talking about how, we should get Dan Lanning as our coach. And why the hell would you leave Oregon to go to Alabama? I mean, you have everything you need at Oregon. You can win national titles. You got all the money you need.
Well,
why would you go?
Can they win?
Well, okay, in theory they could, but yeah, I'm not sure DeBeer can win a national title either at Alabama. But that's
very true.
Yeah, and you see, Illinois had a big $100 million donation to their athletic department today. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he founded like Madison, Enterprises, owns a bunch of companies and things like that. So there's a lot of money in the Big Ten. So in theory, that can balance that out. And I think not even so much NIL. I think the portal has just completely changed, what college football is and how certain teams can compete when they couldn't before. Prior, you'd see everyone go to Alabama and stay there just because you might be able to transfer once. But, you're at Alabama because, you've got a chance to make something there. But now you can make a name and you can go to any school you want, or, you can't hoard talent like you used to be able to do, because if, somebody's got some ability, they can easily transfer out. And that, we've seen that happen in a lot of programs in the past, when scholarship limits started, kicking in, that affected certain programs. I think I think the portal probably really plays a big role in some of the lower tier teams, like the G5 teams not being able to compete like they used to be able to. Any player that usually kind of steps up now in these G5 schools are probably going to end up at a Power 5 school very quickly. At this point, it's going to be hard. We've seen probably it's harder and harder. I mean, just look at this last weekend when you see some of the games that, the Power 4s versus the FCS teams or the low G5 teams. I mean, it wasn't just Nebraska smoking Akron. You had Alabama crushing, Louisiana Monroe like 73-0. Utah beat Cal Poly like 63-9. FSU played East Texas A&M, which I think was, made for a Scott Bakula movie, and it's not an actual school. That was like 77 to whatever that was. Minnesota, for God's sake, beat up Northwestern State. That was 66-0. They had 35 points in the first quarter. They didn't finish the game.
They didn't even end the game.
Yeah, they called it in the fourth quarter because of weather. And you saw a lot of that. And I think that's just kind of indicative of what college football is now. The portal, I think, was probably as big of a change for the Big Ten as anything. Yeah. And then you can tack NIL and revenue sharing on top of that. And it does give chances for the Big Ten to compete. Now, not every Big Ten school I don't think is going to be able to compete. Some just don't have the funding and the interest. Your Rutgers, your Marylands, Northwestern probably doesn't in the long run. Even your Iowas, Wisconsins, Minnesotas, I don't know. But, the big name Big Ten schools they're going to be able to compete probably from here on out. So.
Illinois got $100 million donation today. Did I see
that?
Yes,
that's what they said. Yeah. I mean, Boomer, we're a couple of weeks away from, in the group of 5 world, some of the top players, they can call it a redshirt year and transfer. We've seen that happen.
Yes.
Mid-season or not quite mid-season. We've seen that happen with other teams. And yeah, I mean, Abby, I'll kind of go over to you. I still look at this and I'm like, but what's the SEC's disadvantage in this? Where did they not have? I understand that the Big Ten right now, we have a slightly larger television contract than they do. One of the main reasons I think that you're seeing the SEC finally going to 9-game conference schedules, they realize they can make some more money doing that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Saban's kind of making it sound like there's sisters of the poor here, and that also, finally now there's a reason. What drove me nuts is finally it's like there's a reason now to go to other schools, and it's like, give me a break.
To me, is that not Nick Saban basically saying, like, hey guys, look, when we cheated, it was okay, but now that everybody gets to pay, like, it comes off. And I like Nick Saban. I don't like this like whiny Nick Saban that we've gotten lately. But to me, that just is confirming what we all knew is, and like Boomer said, like, they've been doing it. So now that everybody gets to do it, oh, suddenly I wonder what it is and why nobody wants to go there. Like, I'm with you. Give me a break. And also, I just want to point out, he specifically called out Ohio State. Ohio State is the only blue blood program who has never had a series of down years. They've never had that. So there has never been an issue of kids wanting to go to Ohio State. They had a couple coaches who maybe only won 9 games or what, I don't know. I actually don't know that. But I remember that stat of, like, if you look at the blue bloods, Ohio State's the only one that's never had like a 5 to 10 year down period. Every single one has. So I don't know why he picked Ohio State specifically, except that they won a national championship and they're beating up on the SEC. But it just comes off as so whiny and so like complainy that they got caught, that like everybody gets to cheat now. It's not cheating, but you know what I mean? Like,
Well, Florida State, not an SEC team, but they were Free Shoes University, is called by Spurrier. And of course, Florida and Tennessee used to throw barbs back at each other about all out their cheating. Cam Newton, I don't know, maybe there could be an asterisk around that championship. And
probably should be.
It's so ridiculous.
Oklahoma was kind of notorious for back in the Switzer days. If the stories are to be believed, that there were things done, but like, yeah, to me, it's just like, you guys have been doing it, and that's, yes, kids probably went to Alabama when Saban was there, to give him credit because he was winning a lot, and people want to go play on teams that win national championships. I'll give him that credit. He's a very good coach, but like, I don't know, why are the top kids going to like other SEC schools when they weren't consistently that good? I'm gonna guess there's a little bit of a money issue going on there.
Let's be clear. I think what NIL has done, and I've heard this been said by other people that are in the industry, all NIL did was take what was being done under the table and it moved it on top of it.
Yep.
That's it. The end of the day, a lot of this stuff was happening, and people would say that for years and years and years. This stuff was happening, and now it's up here. I just, there's so much SEC arrogance that's in that quote. It's just something that I have to highlight here, and it goes deep. It goes into, we talked about it earlier with scheduling. Should Nebraska be scheduled right now? Yes, no, doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, why does the SEC every time this time of year have 9 or 10 or 11 teams ranked? They always do. And then when one loses, someone takes its place. And then it's this perpetual, it keeps building upon itself. And now they have the highest FPIs and all those things. I don't know. There's just this narrative that everything was better down there. And look, Nick Saban was unbelievable. He won a whole lot of games down there in that one conference, and he did more to build that conference up. I mean, they cheer for the conference more than the teams half the time down there. But he's not there anymore. Alabama's not going to win at the level, no matter who their coach is. They're not going to win at the level that Nick Saban was winning at. It's just, that's not going to happen. And their fans won't give this coach that chance anyways. You lose 3 or 4 games and you're going to be done. But at a place like Alabama, but just in general, there's good football and there's passionate fan bases all across the country, up north, down south, east, west, and everywhere in between. And I don't know if NIL has leveled that playing field. I guess, then that's a good thing, because I don't know that was good that all the money and all the players are down in 1 or 2 schools anyways, at the very top.
Yeah. I think this is like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Boomer.
No, I was just saying, it'll be interesting to see in the SEC what NIL being more above the table, if it will change things. I mean, the last time I saw projections, it's your Texas, your A&Ms, and your like Tennessees that are spending more money. Hell, Auburn, I think, was estimated to be spending more money than like your Alabamas and Georgias, this last year. So I'll be curious to see how much that changes what the SEC balance is, going forward. So be part of the whole fascination with this going forward.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing, like those Texas schools don't lack is money. So I'm sure, their alumni base and just the cash on hand for a lot of them is going to way exceed, even Alabama's and, Georgia's and Florida's in the long run, I think. So.
Mm-hmm.
And people are willing to spend it on that too. So
yeah, we had Brett Cianci on Pick Six Previews preseason. He referenced Texas Tech with that, just in the Big 12. It doesn't even matter what your conference is. The money can play a big difference now, and the schools that have it, which are all across the country, it's not just up north. There's Southeast schools that have a lot of money that are willing to throw at this too. But we'll see what comes of it. But I think that takes us to our next category here, our next segment of the show, and that's courtside cooking. And volleyball is off to a great start. We're 6-0, another weekend of sweeps, beating Wright State and then Cal. We were on national TV again there with Cal. We were that was a Big Ten Network game. And then this weekend, we're going to be playing Friday night at home against Utah on FS1. Then we play Grand Canyon on Saturday at 6 p.m., and that's going to be on Nebraska Public Media. And then on Tuesday of next week, as Abby said at the beginning, right before our Redcast next week, we're going to be playing at Creighton, and that's on FS1 again. Abby, talk about where we're at right now after 3 weeks.
I am my nerves are a little glad to have some of these games right now, but I feel good. I love after the Wright State game, Danny talked about that wasn't good. We didn't play well. We were kind of all over the place. I like that she kind of called that out. And I don't know if John would have. I'm trying to remember, or if it would have been a little more subtle, but I really appreciate that she was just like, no, we played sloppy. We didn't play our best game. And then they came back to Cal and played a very good game. And I love that we're getting to see a bunch of more games with some of these new kids. So Bill put this question in our YouTube and just asked, the upcoming matches. Do you think DBK plays the less experienced players early on to give them real game action before the conference season? And I think so. I think these are the perfect opportunities. I think, we'll see how Utah goes. They are ranked. So my guess is Utah will see the core 6 the whole way through, maybe a few switches in if energy or whatever. But I think against Grand Canyon, you'll see similar to what we see. We'll see Obeche more. Again, we'll see Skylar Pierce. We could see Campbell Flynn come in again with Allie Check if she doesn't start. And then Creighton again will be the kind of core group, I would guess, just because it's an in-state rival and we like to see it. But how fun is it that we get to see so many of these young kids just come in and not miss a beat? It's great. They act like they're out there. They're playing just as hard. They're playing just as intense as our kind of core 6. So I love watching that. I love being able to see that.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a familiar theme as we talk about the football team from last weekend too, where you can get into the second wave and the third wave. How many players have we played so far in volleyball this year?
That's a great question. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Because we've gone at least 2 deep across the board, so there's 12 right off the top.
I think the only ones we haven't played are Carrie, Ryan, and Kenna, who's our middle. So Carrie Linebacker, DS, potential libero, Ryan Hunter, right side, and then Kenna, what is Kenna's last name? Hold on. Let me check. Sorry. I should know this, but I don't. Cogill is a middle blocker. So my guess is those 3 are probably redshirt. We probably won't see them at all. I'm sure, Ryan, we've talked about it a lot, was kind of injured all of last year. And so probably just wanting to make sure that's fully healed. And plus with Virginia and Allie there, Kenna, we're so stacked libero at DS with Maisie and Lainey and Liv. So that's not super surprising to see Carrie redshirt. And then again, our middles are so good. They're so good. So I think those are the only 3 who haven't played at all, and kind of just scrolling through the roster. So
So we have
that's
17 on the roster. So 3 haven't. So we played 14.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've played 14 players. That's impressive. And John talked about how great it is that Danny's so willing to switch them out when needed. And that wasn't a thing he was doing. And he was kind of afraid to do it to kind of screw up the flow, which I think a lot of fans were a little nervous about, like just switching players in now. But so far, it hasn't seemed like it's like shaken anybody. And that's amazing. I think that's such a good sign for how this team comes together and thinks about like how the team's going to work. And they seem to be buying into that banner, not name idea that Danny has kind of thrown out there as a plan for the year. So that's great to see. We're going to need it. There's going to be some tricky conference games. I mean, there's still a bunch of ranked Big Ten teams that we'll have to compete with. So it's good that we see that. And as we hopefully get into, the postseason and deep in the postseason, we'll have that depth and that experience from those players getting in to come play. That'll help us.
Mm-hmm. Rob, did you have something you were?
Oh no, I'm watching, got the Stanford, Missouri game on behind us, a couple of ranked teams, and they just finished set 2 at a whopping 33-31 final for set 2. Yeah.
Remember Stanford, I don't know if anybody watched this. Stanford pushed Texas to 5 sets. They almost reverse swept Texas on Sunday. So I know we swept them, but that's a good team. That's again a bunch of young girls, a bunch of freshmen.
They have 12 service errors tonight already too, which is
they do that a lot.
They had 23 against Texas. I mean, if they can get that part of their game together, I think that they'll be pretty formidable going down the road. They'll probably still be like a Sweet 16 team or whatever. But
well, I'm pulling up the top 25 right now. You have Nebraska with all 61 first place votes. Texas number 2, they're 4-0. Kentucky 3-1, they're lost to Nebraska. Louisville, DBK's former team, is at 4-0, and they're number 4. There's Stanford. Nebraska's beat them. They're 3-2, and to your guys' point earlier, their 2 losses have been to Nebraska and Texas, the top 2 teams. Wisconsin from the Big Ten is number 6. Pittsburgh is number 7. A&M is undefeated, 5-0. They just beat Utah, who's Nebraska is going to be playing on Friday night. Number 9, Arizona State. Rob, we saw them last year when they were about number 14 or 13 in the country when we played them. And then number 10, SMU, who beat us a year ago. They're 5-0. That rounds out the top 10. You do get down, if I want to keep going into some of the Big Ten schools, Penn State is number 12. They're 3-3. They're struggling a bit. Minnesota, number 13 at 5-1. Purdue is 14 at 4-1. USC is number 16 at 5-0. And if I can, UCLA is the last Big Ten school here. They're number 24 at 1-3. My guess is they're going to probably be on their way out, you'd think. But still, how many teams is that from the Big Ten there? I mean, that's Wisconsin and then Penn State, Minnesota. There's 5 of the top 14 with USC. There's 6 of the top 16 teams are still Big Ten, and then you still have UCLA in there as well. So I mean, it's a down year for the Big Ten comparatively speaking to some of the years where we had 4 or 5 top 10 teams. But I mean, it's still going to be a tough conference.
Yeah, it's so funny. And people talk about that, and it's true. Like it's a down year, but like a down year is still a very good year for the Big Ten. We are like, I hate saying this, but how I feel about it, it's probably how SEC football fans felt like last year of like, well, it was a down year, but we're still pretty good at football. Like it's a little bit how I feel. Like it's still a really good conference of football. It's just been a lot of bad luck.
Do you think Penn State is still ranked at 12 just because they're Penn State? And
they've only lost one. And all their losses have been, with the exception of Kentucky, have been 4 or 5 sets. So they've been pushed pretty good. They get some benefit because they're Penn State, I think. But they're still a very good team. They beat Kansas. They beat Creighton. They beat ranked teams. So, they're not going to be a pushover. Kennedy Martin is the best or second best right side hitter in the country. So, Jillian Grimes is a great libero. When Jaravicius is on, she's amazing. The same thing. Like when their other transfers come in, very good when they're on. The problem with Penn State is they're just wildly inconsistent outside of Kennedy Martin of who their hitter is going to be. So
Yeah,
you never
but it would
know.
be
You don't know what Penn State you're going to get.
Yeah, it'd be someone like poll voters not to know on-field results. So I mean,
Yeah.
Man, Kentucky's played
I
that.
feel like the UVCA is usually, usually pretty good. But no, I agree. Like you just, it's a poll. It's a human poll. So.
Boy, Kentucky's played a hell of a schedule already. If they've played Nebraska, Texas, and beat Penn State already, I mean, that's.
Well, they haven't played Texas yet. They'll play them in November. They played.
Stanford. Stanford played Texas.
Stanford's got that. But yeah, they'll play Pitt in September, and then they'll get into. It looks like then they get in. Well, I don't know because they play SMU. Oh, that's not their conference. Yeah, they've got SMU. They've got Louisville, and then they get into conference play. They'll play A&M. They'll play Florida, Alabama. Or Alabama's not very good. Sorry, Texas, Missouri. Yeah, and then the SEC has a tournament. So that's interesting. I don't know if they've had a tournament in the past. I don't remember. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there and how that impacts their win-loss and going into the postseason. So yeah, the Kentucky-Texas game is going to be really, really good. I know that we hate Texas. Personally, in our house, we don't love Kentucky. But that's going to be a great game for Nebraska fans to watch to get an idea of, depending on how things shake out, that could be a Final Four, national championship level match of play.
I love this comment here from Brewmaster Bill. National exposure for college volleyball has helped contribute to parity. The top players aren't going to the same schools. And Boomer, we've had that discussion forever, but like to really appreciate when you look at that top 25 of volleyball, how many matchups we've seen back and forth. In football, we're sitting there just talking about, what P4 matchups have we seen so far. Here in volleyball, it's like you're looking at the top 10 and it seems like everyone's played each other already.
Yeah, and that's really what I'd like to see, college football getting to. I know, we'll probably talk on it later, but my disdain for the kind of games that people have played, week 2 and week 3 this year, they're no secret. I mean, I don't like these, blowout games or, the power schools just schedule easy wins for whatever reason. I'm not picking on Nebraska. Everybody's doing this, and it's kind of the way it is. There was a great quote, on our former coach Scott Frost at UCF, they played North Carolina A&T this weekend and beat the living crap out of them. And somebody asked the North Carolina A&T coach, "Is this game worth it? These games?" And he basically said, "I don't know, because we made money, but they had 3 quarterbacks hurt. So I mean, their whole season's probably derailed now from this." So, and just in terms of interest, I think it's just so much more fun to watch these kind of games, early on in college, in volleyball. It's way more fun than watching, any blowout, which you could be scheduling. And that kind of goes to the whole structure of the two sports and how they're currently situated. And this is probably, a better conversation for some time in a bye week about the postseason in college football and what it encourages teams to do and how they schedule versus volleyball or basketball or, really any of the other sports, even football at the other levels. So it would probably help the sport, I think, to trend more that way in college football, but it'll take some postseason changes to do that. So
yeah, well, it's definitely done wonders, I think, to build to what Brewmaster Bill was saying there, to build the sport of volleyball up. The combination of getting more televised games and larger televised games on bigger networks, all that has added to. You're just seeing a spike. Pardon the pun, a spike in interest in the sport, and that's really great to see. It's long overdue, and we're all for it here on the Redcast. Let's move on to scarlet-colored glasses and football, and we won again, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. I had Mac on the other night. We did a Matt's Rule, and he said it right away. He goes, "I'm just going to get it out of the way before, at the very beginning. I'm not going to apologize every single time and give a disclaimer over and over again about it being Akron. We understand it was Akron. We can say it once. And now let's just talk about how we played. And irregardless of who the competition was. You still have to catch balls and snap balls and catch, snaps and not get penalties and all the things that we've done in the past against. It doesn't matter who the competition was. So 68-0, over 700 yards of offense total. A shutout in the second game of the John Butler defensive era here as a DC. I saw somebody tweet out tonight that in the second game of the Charlie McBride era, we won 68-0 as well. And I didn't have time to fact check that, but I'm just going to guess that Boomer, you can fact check that. If you find another 68-0 victory and it was somewhere around 1976 or 7, that would have been about, or 76, 76, 77. That would have been around the time that McBride got here. So that would be a pretty uncanny kind of connection between the two. But great win for Nebraska. A lot of players, just like on the volleyball team, a lot of players got in this last week. Over 85 of them at least got in there. Everyone except for poor Archie, the punter, who has his parents here from
Australia.
Australia. Thank you, guys. I was saying Arkansas in my head. I was like, damn it. It starts with an A. Australia. So I feel bad that they didn't get to see him punt, but they know how well he can punt, and they got to see him do it at Arrowhead. Abby, I'll start with you and kind of start to go around the room here a little bit. But in general, your thoughts of the dominating victory on Saturday night?
It's just what it should be. I mean, I kind of said that on Saturday night. Like, that's just how it should be. It's what we used to see all the time, and it got dare I say boring at some point during that game, because you were just like, we got the ball and it was like, oh, but we score here, and we did. And so, like, I don't want to say boring, like we didn't watch, but it was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what we should do. Again, we were going to talk about like taking care of business, and it's for some of us that's what we grew up watching, and that's the Nebraska football. We're like, we talk about the good days. That's what we talk about. That's what we are thinking about and referencing. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. It was, I joked with my mom, my arm got really tired. The watch party we have has a bell. Every time we score, I get to ring the bell, the cowbell really loudly. So like my arm got really tired at some point. It was just, and I think people in there were just like, yeah, we get it, Abby, we scored. I'm like, no, but we scored again. But I think that was a general consensus. And like, how weird is it that it was like as exciting as that game was, and it was, don't get me wrong, but there was a point where you were just kind of like, no, okay, yeah, well, this is clearly in hand now. So what shall we talk about? What shall we do? And it was interesting to see that, because you don't get that often. Usually if it's in hand the other way, people leave, and it's very quiet for a different reason. But it was fun. It was great seeing backups in. I love when we get to see second, third string kids come in and play at the same level and play up to that same level. I think there was, again, with us a little bit concerned going into the third and fourth quarter, putting some of the second and third string guys in, especially on defense. That was like, are they going to let up? Like, is this going to be it? Or is this where we give up the points and the score? Like, are we going to not get our shutout? But so it was amazing to watch, just like volleyball, watch those kids come in and play with the same intensity and play to prove that that's where they belong. They're just as good. They're just as ready. All of this. That was great to watch.
I honestly, is the thing that kept it from getting boring to me was the backups going in there. If we had just continued to see Dylan, who is playing amazing right now, if Dylan was out there all the way through the end of the fourth quarter and doing what he did the first 3 quarters, 2.5 quarters, honestly, it would have got boring to me at some point. It was Latif going out there and starting to show his stuff. It was the backup running backs getting in there and replacing EJ. And you can go down the list, all the different names and players that you saw. But you're right. At halftime, there's a part of me I was thinking, yeah, what do you do? What do you say at this point? Rob, we've gotten to see now quite a bit of the halftime speech, and Coach Rule, we showed it on the opening video here, the intro. Coach Rule did not take the halftime the way that I think a lot of people would have thought, a team up 33-0 would be. He wanted to set a standard, and it was irregardless of the score. He wanted to set a standard for the players to understand what it means to play Husker football. And it looked like he accomplished that. Yeah,
it was the most interesting part to me too. Like you said, being able to watch like the second, third, fourth stringers all come in and play. Even I'll call him friend of the Redcast. Landon Davidson was in there at the end in the fourth quarter. And it was fun to watch him. He's a big kid. He's 6'8", like 300 and something pounds right now on the defense. And he came in on the defensive side, and every single play they double teamed him. Every single play. And he was pushing up against 2 offensive linemen every single play. I was chatting with his dad back and forth about it, and it was pretty cool. I think he was in on about like 12 plays or something, 13 plays. But yeah, I've been out, last year, for example, year 2, I came out for the UTEP game. I came out for the UNI game, and they won. And it was there was a satisfaction to them winning, but it felt a little bit empty in retrospect. And this weekend felt like those weekends should have felt in my head, right? Where you've got these teams that come in, we're paying them to be there, and we should be blowing them out of the water, but the games never really felt put away at any point, right? And then this week, I mean, even up 33-0 at the half, we were making jokes like, okay, it's not over yet. It's not over yet, oh God. And then they almost kicked the field goal, and I think Abby's tweet was perfect, or not even tweet. It was her text to it, the group, like doink. I remember looking down, I felt my phone buzz, and I looked down and saw the doink, and it was right as it was hitting the post. So obviously our feed must've been a little bit behind. So good timing, Abby. But other than that, there was no real threat to score. It was just kind of, fun to watch these guys going out there and just having a good time, playing football, playing loose. And, I think a point that we made, it's really easy to do that when you play a Power 4 team and win in week 1, and you got that confidence, and then that hey, you're going to be playing the next 2 weeks pretty free and open, and being able to get your your plays down, your routes down, your schemes down. I saw Benning this morning make a couple comments where he said, yeah, evaluating these plays, there's a couple guys that it looked like maybe they were out of position. I think they were going over like the safety play, right? And a couple of plays before that. And he was saying yeah, okay, this guy, he's not exactly where he's supposed to be, but you're also not going to coach him to not do what he did to get to where he was, because when you're given that opportunity, and the other team making those mistakes, you got to capitalize on it. And these are the kind of games where it's like you can point those out to the players, like, okay, you kind of missed your gap here, or you should have been a little bit more over this guy's right shoulder, before the snap. But regardless, good job on seeing the opportunity to get through and to that second level and tackle the guy in the end zone. I mean, so there's just a lot of good teaching moments, but at the same time, you won 68-0.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the number of guys that got out there, on the defensive side alone, and guys making plays and getting out there for the first time. And it was impressive, to say the very least.
We had 14 different receivers. I think that's what it says. One of them was DJ Singleton for -4 yards, but I mean, still 14 different receivers.
Quinn Clark comes out there, gets a touchdown catch in the second quarter. It's still early in the game in that sense. I wanted to highlight this one. Vince Watson, his comment: field goal upright was the defensive MVP of the shutout. It played a role, but they had another field goal opportunity, and that one got blocked. And, there's just guys were stepping up and making plays, and it was hard to run against us. It was hard to pass against us. In fact, I want to go to our by the numbers powered by Husker Max. And as we look at the sheet here, I'll go down our list here. Rushing offense, we certainly improved it nationally. We're up to 172 yards a game rushing now, which ranks 65th nationally. Passing offense, we're now averaging 368 yards a game passing. That's 6th in the country. Our pass efficiency, I'm still surprised this isn't better just because of the passing percentage that Dylan's at. But we're 22nd in the country, 178.91 for pass efficiency, which is still really darn good. Total offense, we're at 540 yards a game. That ranks 15th. And scoring offense, 44 points a game. We're 22nd in the country. So it was definitely a feel-good offensive game. Defensively, though, we've had 2 really good defensive games in a row here. Our pass defense continues to be top 5 in the country here. We've given up an average of 65.5 yards passing a game. That's good for 5th in the country. Our pass efficiency defense is 64.59, which is 2nd in the country. And our total defense, Boomer, we're at 223 yards a game on total defense. So, when you look at that, total offense, 15th in the country, total defense, 22nd in the country. We're not talking about who the opponent was because everyone's played somebody bad at this point. We're just doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's a pretty good spot to be at 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and that's the best way to approach this game, with Akron, and then the following game with Houston Christian is just do what you're supposed to do. I mean, there's not really any threat to lose these games. I mean, there wasn't. Akron is a bad team. There's no hiding that, but you can control what you can control, and that's your side of the ball and how you execute and how you perform. And if you're doing that, then that's what you need to be doing. So your opponent is what it is. So just go out and do what you're supposed to do. And, you look at the Houston Christian numbers on that other side, and, they have some seemingly leadingly high categories, but, if you really want to talk about opponents, they lost to Eastern Kentucky this last weekend, another FCS program, and their first game was against Arkansas Baptist, which, they
don't even have a link on ESPN.
No, they're smaller than Doane in terms of undergrad. So, you kind of want to see the
69-0 against Arkansas Baptist.
Yeah, so they rolled up a lot of points and numbers against that. So very, very skewed, at that point. So don't read a whole lot to the stats comparison here from one to the next here. So.
I like this one here from Laura. After years of playing down to the level of our competition, this felt good. I think that's a real good way of saying that, Laura. Just,
and hi, Laura.
And we've talked about this for, is that Mama Harris?
That's Mama Harris, yeah.
Oh, is that Mama? Hey, Laura.
We've, we've talked about this on the show about, playing to a level of whoever the opponent was, good or bad. Like, why do we lose by 3 points to Ohio State and then turn around and lose by 3 points to, Rutgers or whoever it is that we're playing? I guess we've never lost to Rutgers, but we've lost to a lot of teams we shouldn't have lost. Yeah, we've lost to a lot of teams we shouldn't have lost to over the years. And it's literally playing to a level that this gets back to what Coach Rule was talking about at halftime. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. It doesn't matter what the score at halftime is. You're playing to a standard. And what he was really frustrated about was at the end of that first half, we didn't play to that standard. I guess, honestly, to go back to Vince's point here about the upright was the defensive MVP of the shutout. He's not wrong in a sense, because Coach Rule was frustrated at the effort of that defense to let them even get into that field goal range at the end of the first half. And so we were fortunate that it bounced off, the upright there to preserve that shutout into halftime. But I love that he addressed that with the team. He definitely got through to the team. And then when those backups got onto the field, they did everything they possibly could to not give up that shutout, to continue the success we were having on offense. And that was something that Mac and I highlighted the other night. Was I was watching the sideline the whole game, especially as the game went on, and the black shirts, that first string defense that was on the sideline for the last quarter and a half, they were so vocal, they were so active, cheering on their guys. They wanted to see that score remain 0. And then I see a guy like Dylan. He goes out when they had the flyover pilots, the military pilots, they come out and they all do their, they open up their shirt and they're wearing a Husker shirt underneath it. He goes out there and just shakes every one of their hands. I've never seen a player do that. Now, he was done for the night, so he had some free time to do it, but it was just it was just such a cool environment. And I love the makeup of this team right now. I love the culture. I'm gonna use that word. I love the culture that's being built there. I just think that this is it's a special group of guys that you can tell they're having fun playing together. And I don't know. I mean, I don't really care who the opponent is in that. I like what I'm seeing.
So I'm looking through some of the stats here too, and it's cool because TJ Lateef came in and he actually, he was, what was his stats were 6 for 7 for 128 yards, but he averaged 18 plus yards per throw and ran one in for a touchdown. He had a QBR of 99.3. Obviously, Dylan with 364 yards, but we had 494 yards receiving. I was trying to think, like, when's the last time that a Husker team had 494 yards receiving? Like, I know they beat teams like this before, but usually it was like on the ground, right? Like,
well, you'd have to go back to some of the Callahan teams.
Maybe,
had some big.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we beat K-State, and we had a bad team that year. It was 2007, but we beat K-State 70 something to, I think we gave up 40 or 30 something against them, but we threw it for 500 some yards. So there were some games where we did, but there's a balance to this too. I mean,
we had 33 rushes. We had, I think 40 passes, 234 yards rushing for an average of 7.1 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. Is that what I'm seeing here? Is that right? Yeah, that's insane. Like, that's wow. I mean, no, that can't be right. It says five rushing touchdowns
across 2 games. Isn't this across 2 games?
Oh, is this all of them? No, I'm looking at just against. Looking at.
Well, I mean, EJ had 2. EJ had 2 rushing touchdowns.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense because we didn't kick any field goals, so we
kicked one. One field goal.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we had 4 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. 9 touchdowns in the game. Jeez.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Boomer is like
a safety 68. There you go. That's there you go. There you go. I mean, sorry, I'm like trying 63 plus 2 plus 3. There you go, man. I mean, I just in my brain I was like that's how long it's been since we've seen something like this. I'm going, wow, we had 9 touchdowns. Like, it just doesn't feel like we had 9 touchdowns because the game was just, it was just so much fun to watch.
9 times.
9 times.
9 times. Yeah.
So now that Rob finally understands that reference.
Yes, thank you.
Boomer, we have for scoring defense 8.5 points. That's number 14 in the country here. I'm going to highlight some of the better stats that we have here. Punt returns 28th in the country, 13.5 yards, 7 yards a return. We talked about that at the beginning. Special teams. What's your assessment 2 games in of Coach Eck? You haven't yelled Coach Eck sucks yet, right?
Nope. Like I said, I didn't have to use the sticky note. I'm just reserving it just in case. I don't anticipate it being needed much this week either. Archie Wilson probably can just, order another couple of margaritas and, kick back and, wait for Collingwood to play again in the AFL premiership. So I doubt he'll see the field much again this week. It's just more of the same, I think, as last week. It's just we can score if we want to. Maybe if we screw around and do something different, we might end up, having to punt once or twice. But I wouldn't anticipate a busy day for him either. So going forward,
I'm picturing Boomer like Steve Buscemi in that Adam Sandler movie with like sitting in a room with like a list of people that he's like waiting on his kill list or whatever, and then he's like crossing off Mike Egler's name like with lipstick, and then just sitting there like drinking his drink and.
Oh yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Sacks and an area I think that we can see some improvement, and I want to see improvement this week against Houston Christian on this. Tackles for loss, sacks, those 2 combination there. Right now, tackles for loss, we're averaging 5.5 a game. That's 74th in the country. Sacks, we finally got our first one there last week. We're 102nd in the country there. So we're getting some pressure, but getting to the QB, that's still an area that we want to see improvement in. Third down conversions. We're 8th in the country. Third down defense, we're 10th in the country on that. So that's a good sign there. Fourth down conversion, 97th in the country and 101st on fourth down defense. Still early, but area to improve there. Red zone offense, 80th in the country at .833 now. We were tied at first after the first game, with a bunch of teams at 100%. But yeah, that. Having a fourth down stop and then also EJ fumbling in the red zone, I mean, that's going to hurt you there. And those are things that can happen as we move forward. First down offense, 14th in the country. First down defense, 37th in the country. I don't know. Were there any other stats, anything else that struck out to you? Anyone here that you wanted to highlight?
I was hoping I could find who leads the nation in safeties. I mean, I know it's not us, but I was pretty proud of us for getting 2, even though they only counted 1 in that game.
Yeah, I did see too. I was so confused for a moment, and then I realized that after the safety, they have a free kick. So I guess that counts as a kickoff because Kenneth Williams had 2 returns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so averaging 21 yards, which is still pretty good. But yeah, I was like, wait a second, like why? How did we have 2? Because they didn't score, and then I guess after the safety, they did the free kick, which yeah, and so I guess that counts as a kickoff, not a punt. I was confused.
Because it would be after a score, right?
Yeah. It was, but it was yeah.
So
Yeah. I didn't really picture it that way in my head. I guess I've never really looked that far into the stats before on something like that. So, well, I guess that's it, Honky. That's my stat
Well, a week from now, we'll have one more game of stats to be able to kind of go over, but also we'll have a team finally that I think we can start to do a little bit of a breakdown of who our opponent is. Apologies already that we haven't really broke down Houston Christian in deep detail here, but a week from now, we'll be preparing for Michigan. They'll be coming to town at 2:30 that week on September 20th for a big national TV game there, and the Wolverines just lost to the Sooners last weekend at Oklahoma. They have a true freshman quarterback, Underwood. That's, he's played well at times and he struggled at times. He's a true freshman. And so I like what our pass defenses look like through 2 games. I think we're going to be a pretty salty pass defense period all year. And I think when you're playing a team like Michigan and a quarterback that could be struggling there, and they won't have their head coach either for what it's worth for our game. He's in true Michigan fashion. Their head coach is going to be suspended for a couple of games this year. So, I think that there's a real opportunity here. Let's get through this week healthy. Let's make the improvements that need to be made. And I think we can make it really difficult on Michigan to get out of here with a W. And I think we can all envision what 4-0 looks like.
Yeah, I think you put that right. Just from what I saw, Michigan this week playing Oklahoma, there's some struggle there. He's a freshman quarterback. If your defense can get some pressure on him, they're going to struggle with that. So,
I agree. And with that, I think we're going to head into parting shots. And to start, I'll go with you, Redcast Rob.
Oh, I get to start twice. Perfect. Well, you know what? I want to welcome Houston Christian to Lincoln this week. I think it'll be interesting to see, do they have their own semi truck that they actually drive here, or will they be the second team I've seen with a U-Haul appear out of nowhere? That's always one of my favorite traditions that you have, Honky, of taking a picture and saying, welcome to X team. I was confused because I was like, I've never heard of Houston Christian. And then it turns out that a few years back, Houston Christian changed its name from Houston Baptist University, I guess because they wanted to appeal to a more diverse, crowd of Christians as opposed to a very specific denomination. So good on them for the rebranding effort, and you know what? I just hope they have fun.
That's good. Redcast Abby.
Oh boy. I feel like I had so many parting shots this weekend that now I don't know what they are. I guess mine is just to echo kind of the last tweet that we read that I talked about, and that is just to be kind to our players and to ourselves and to our fans and all of that. And again, if you're not going to say something with your face and your chest and your name, don't say it. I dare you.
You can't be nice. Don't say anything at all.
Especially if you're 5'2" alcoholic.
No, I mean, just it. If you're not going to, here's the thing. Again, if you're going to say it behind something that doesn't show who you are, your opinion isn't then don't say it.
It's not valid.
You have to be willing to say it with your face if you're going to say it, in my opinion.
Boomer, what you got?
Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of exciting parting shots. Just for anyone else interested in Houston Christian, they're in the Southland Conference, which is also the home of McNeese State. So, if anyone's interested in our history with the Southland, that was a pretty exciting game last time one of their teams showed up here. That was, Amir Abdullah kind of willing us to victory there. But I don't anticipate the same sort of effort being needed this weekend. So just kind of go out and enjoy yourselves. And don't forget the AFL Premiership's going on. And, Archie Wilson can kick back and just wait for Collingwood to play because they won their game. And they're on the winner side of it, so they can just kick back and relax. So just like our punter.
All right. For me, I'm gonna show a couple tweets here. This first one here actually deals with that McNeese State game that you're talking about. I posted this in the third quarter of the game, and Kathy, my wife, she went with me last weekend, but she's gone with me to a number of prior easy, and I put that in quotation mark, easy games like McNeese in 2014 that Abdullah saved us on. We went to Northern Illinois in 2017. We went to Troy in 2018. We were at the Georgia Southern 2022 game. So we've watched some easy games go the other direction on us. And so I just typed that, sitting next to her tonight with a 47-0 lead in the backup QB playing the third quarter, permission to just enjoy the heck out of tonight without too much critiquing. And for the most part, I've tried to stay true to that even a couple of days later. Right? There's things that, we can improve on. I'll let the coaches have more than proven that they can take care of making sure that we get better at that. And so I just really appreciated that. I wanted to show this here, and this was from Jeffrey Falties and Justin Clutie. This is like the apparently the Redcast official Redcast tailgate, but these guys are awesome. I went over there and let's see if I can find the photo that I took here with them. That's me on the right. No, if you couldn't tell. And
I thought that was Coach Rule.
There you go. And Justin and Jeff. And we were over there in lot 20, and they're welcoming people. Justin's with Nebraska Star Beef. He made this unbelievable tomahawk steak. It was absolutely incredible. But they were welcoming people down there. I'm going to try to show up there as many weeks as I can. This one might be a little tough since it's an 11 a.m. game, but they're awesome folks. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Justin, for the hospitality there. And make sure you get a chance to go over there, Redcasters, to lot 20. It's over there by the Haymarket Park. It's one of the Haymarket Park parking lots. And then last but not least, Redcast Kara. And I want to post this here for a sec. This is a promotion that is going on right now, University of Nebraska Lincoln. And Laura Durbin from the Lead Center has recorded 30 lifetime blood donations. Join her and Huskers nationwide for the We Give Blood Drive. Your donation saves lives and helps Nebraska climb the Big Ten leaderboard. Learn more and log your donation at big10.org/Abbott, which is ABBOTT. I think, if memory serves me correct, I think Nebraska won this last year. I think we're in second place right now. Kara did want me to mention in this that there's a photo here. She said, this is a photo. If you want to use it, it's there's a chance to win this free shirt, and it's worth it. And it says Huskers Give Blood, University of Nebraska. It's a great looking shirt, and it's a great cause there. So Redcasters, do that. Go to the big10.org/Abbott, and let's take that championship home again as well for a second year in a row. But
and Honky, I think last year, along with winning, the university also got a nice little chunk of change, did they not?
Yeah, there was, was it $1 million? I think that
was $1 million. Yep.
Yeah.
It came to
Currently, we're about 500 donors behind Wisconsin, so they're number one. And yeah, I mean, nobody wants that blood filled with cheese curds and beers, so I mean, we've got to step that up. So
well, then they can't have mine, Boomer.
Exactly. Well, fair enough. So
yeah. Yeah, we want corn-fed blood, and so let's go, Redcasters. Let's go, Husker Nation. Pass that around. Make sure that all your friends know that, and let's go ahead and let's take home that championship as well. We're undefeated so far through the sports season. Let's not lose in that one. So until next week, thank you so much, Redcasters, for following along. Thanks for all the people that have been commenting and being a part of the show. We love that so much. Continue to show up, and we'll continue to interact with you throughout the shows. But until then, let's call that another Go Big Redcast.
Go Big Red.
a Herd at Sports Network production.